What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again talking college football. And today, it's week one still. It's Sunday. We have a pair of games on deck that we'll break into from all angles. But if you like this content, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, leaving a comment. All those things are free, especially the comments. Those help me a lot. Just any feedback you have on the content or the structure, it all makes a big difference. Last thing, we're talking about gambling today. So if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But let's get into it. We have a pair of games, and it kicks off in the afternoon with Virginia Tech taking on South Carolina. This is a fun game with a 7.5-point spread. Most of these are juiced towards Virginia Tech right now, so trying to get this towards the key number of 7. But we have some changes for both teams, particularly on the Virginia Tech side, where Brent Pry, he's back, but he cleans house, new coordinators. Philip Montgomery is the new OC. He was most recently calling plays for the Birmingham Stallions in the XFL, but he has a long history of play calling, sort of known as a QB whisperer. He's going to come in and try to rehabilitate Kyron Drones after a down year. And then on defense, they bring in Sam Cephas, who is a NFL guy. He was coaching with the Arizona Cardinals last year. Those are the main differences. I think the basic change you'll see with Virginia Tech is perhaps a little bit faster, but I don't think this team can really bump their pass rate much higher than the 43% last year just because it's not Drone's skill set. So I'm not really expecting them to be a pass-heavy team. Should be similar there. For South Carolina, Shane Beamer is back, beloved by the SEC and his fan base. Lost his OC, so you have Mike Shula. This is an internal promotion, so not expecting anything crazy on that front. I think their offense is going to look the same. It's internal like Drones. You have Lenore Sellers. You can't really run like an air raid or a pass-friendly offense, even if you wanted to. So I think the offense will look a lot of the same for them. But let's dive into player personnel. I think at the quarterback position, you have an edge for South Carolina just with Lenore Sellers potentially growing more. It was his first year starting. He played really well. The only concern I have, 19 turnover-worthy plays led to 7 interceptions. He ran hot there, and he did put the ball in harm's way quite often, but he ran really hot on those actually turning into turnovers. The other thing, 31 sacks. Now, I hesitate to push all that blame onto him. He did take a really long time to throw the ball, one of the higher rates in the country, but his O-line did him no favor, so there's a little push and pull there. For the good stuff, runs extremely well. He could have taken more sacks if he didn't have that mobility. And he had nearly a 66% completion percentage, which was much higher than I would have thought if you would have asked me. His weapons, I think, leave a little bit to be desired. However, he did recently get back Rashul Faison, who was not supposed to play this year, or at least that was up in the air. It was an eligibility thing with him. He's the Utah State transfer. Over 1,100 yards last year, 22 catches. And they needed him. The depth is not good at running back, so that at least boosts the run game. Wide receiver is still sort of a work in progress with Nick Harbor, Mazio Bennett, and Jared Brown. Bennett and Brown got hurt last year, but Nick Harbor, the former 5-stars, never quite lived up to his potential. We know the athleticism's there. He's a track guy, just hasn't quite put it all onto the field. But unlike last year, you have five, I'm not kidding, 5 incoming 4-star wide receivers that could immediately push this group if any of them are pedestrian. Plus, Josh Hyman's a reliable tight end. I think the wide receiver group, especially, and I'll loop in running back, this could be overall just a better skill position group for South Carolina. Their O-line is the biggest concern I have. They lost their 3 best starting O-linemen, a group that was 98th in pass blocking, 105th in run blocking. They returned both tackles. The only point of upside I can see is Josiah Thompson was a 5-star. He played immediately as a freshman, and it did not go well. The transfers are really low level. The only one who comes in from a power program is Nick Sharp from Wake Forest. I don't think this unit got much better, so that's my biggest concern. They're facing a Virginia Tech defense, which is kind of up in the air. They lost a ton of talent. They lost 8 starters. We just saw Mansour Delane last night with LSU balling out. So some of these guys are good that they lost. And they were kind of undercoached last year. The big thing we are sort of betting on is Cephas just getting more out of the unit. But you immediately go to the portal, Ben Bell and James Joncom on the edge. Arius Nash, really low-level guys, G5, FCS. I think the D-line has a little bit to be desired. Linebacker is good, though. You have Caleb Woodson back. Jordan Bass comes in. He's a 4-star. They should fill the gaps. The DB room is going to start 5 transfers, I think. And we mentioned some of the guys they lost, like Dorian Strong, Mansour Delane. They are talented, and they actually have some 4-star depth pieces like Quentin Reddish. But I'm just not sure this unit is any better. It truly is a bet on we need our new DC to maximize this group because we don't believe our previous DC did. All this to say, I think South Carolina moves the ball. On the other side, Kyron Jones also needs a little bit of rehabilitation. He wasn't bad last year. He was just hurt. And when you have a mobile signal caller who suffers a foot injury, yeah, number one, it affects their rushing output. But when you take away the legs, it also affects their ability to extend plays. And this is not an anticipation thrower, someone who's getting the ball into tight windows. Like a lot of times he's creating with his legs, hoping a receiver breaks open at some point and getting the ball there. So that really hurt Jones. His numbers were much worse last year. He was still okay, though. Overall, he's 6'2", 222. Passing, you're looking at about a 61% completion percentage, 7 yards per attempt. Dead even on big-time throws and turnover-worthy plays. So I prefer Sellers, but Jones, when he's healthy, which he should be in game one, he's a dynamic signal caller himself, and you have a new offense, QB whisperer, to potentially maximize him. I don't know about the skill position players for him, however. Running back is worse. You lose Tootin to the NFL. Terrion Stewart's hurt. He's not on the depth chart. I don't think he's playing here. So you're looking at depth pieces like Braden Bennett from Coastal Carolina. I like him, but he's a low-level transfer and a pass-catching specialist. The rest of the group is unproven. Your receivers, you lose Gosnell, Lane, Jennings, Felton. That's a lot to lose. You do bring in some transfers like Donovan Green from Wake Forest. He's a former 4-star, but generally he's been injured. Cam Selden is making the transition from running back to receiver from Tennessee. And then I'm just not sure what this unit has done in the past. They have 4 4-stars on this team that have yet to contribute in any meaningful way. And there's 6 4-stars on the roster. I'm not confident that any one of them outside of maybe Donovan Green in flashes has played like a 4-star. You're hoping again that you have a new coach maximizing talent on this team because their old coaching staff and just in general, Brent Pry has not maximized the talent on his team. Offensive line, exact same thing. You fire your OC, you fire your offensive line coach. They go out and they get West Virginia's O-line coach, who is awesome, by the way, Matt Moore. Bring some talent with him, especially you have like Rymack coming in at center. I think the O-line has to be by default better. They were 85th last year in pass blocking, 92nd in run blocking. You have some players with experience, like Muskrat played at Auburn. He previously started in the G5. Even your incumbents, like Brody Meadows and Laith Ghanem, they split time at guard because of injury. Montavious Cunningham previously started at Georgia State. So there's more talent on this unit than you might think, but it's another bet on this coaching staff getting the most out of their players in game one. As far as South Carolina's defense, and do we think this Virginia Tech team can move the ball? South Carolina just lost a ton from an elite defense last year. Among the amazing 9 starters that are gone, they returned 2. Nick Emenwari drafted, O'Donnell Fortune, awesome corner, Kyle Kennard off the edge, TJ Sanders inside, Demetrius Knight at linebacker. They are also really good on the edge. They spent the bag to keep Dylan Stewart, and Brian Thomas Jr. was fine. Defensive tackles, basically all 4-stars, but young players, unproven players. They're probably going to take a step back there without Sanders. And then at linebacker, probably looking at mainly transfers. Sean Murphy from Florida, Okoronkwo from Bama. It's young and unproven. And defensive back, the players that returned were fine. Judge Collier, Jalen Kilgore, DQ Smith. But I really wonder whether that was playing alongside Fortune and then Wari. Overall, it's still a pretty good thing. You had Brandon Cisse to fill the gaps. I think the secondary is still probably a strength of this team. As far as numbers go, we make this right inside 7. So there is not a ton of value for me. It would be a Virginia Tech or pass, and it's largely just kind of that hook. And I'm hesitant to take this and back the numbers I have just because I think when you look at everything for these two teams, like stylistically, I favor South Carolina in this game. Now, it's a lot of points. It's 7. That's why I'm not particularly interested there. But overall, it is going to be a Virginia Tech or pass just mathematically, and I don't think I can get there. On the total, I think you could look towards an over, but we've seen a lot of unders come in. The difference between this game and a lot of other games, you have 2 veteran signal callers back and 2 defenses with a lot of change. It's sort of the inverse of what a lot of teams that we've seen unders come in on have been going through. So Over or pass? I haven't had a lot of success on the overs I played outside of that Utah game, which was a one-sided show. But anyway, over or pass, South Carolina or pass. Game 2, the big game of the day. Notre Dame takes on Miami. First and foremost, there are threes out there. I can't find one. The consensus line is 2.5. If this gets to 3, just straight up right before we get into anything, I'm changing this from a lean Miami 2+5 to a bet. At any point today, if this hits 3, I'm taking Miami. And hopefully we can explain why. But overall, coaching stuff, Marcus Freeman's back, just went to the Natty. Unfortunately, couldn't get the job done. Only change here, Chris Ash comes in as DC. He's been in the NFL a long time. So this is a veteran defensive coordinator. It's not some upstart guy. Denbrock's back at OC2. Cristobal's back. He has been known to have lapses in judgments, I'll call it. Basically, we've seen him lose games with clock management and decision-making in the final seconds of games. They just blew a surefire ACC, at least berth, if not a victory over SMU, and a playoff appearance in their final game. And he's now the first coach in, I think, the history of college football to take his coaching up into the box. So Cristobal, I'm not 100% sold on. He is also like the top 3 in recruiting in the country, so it is what it is. Offense, not the problem. Shannon Dawson's back. Defense let him down in spots, particularly the secondary, so they're hoping the hiring of Corey Heatherman, new DC from Minnesota, can fix that. Changes and injuries. Oh, one last thing in the Virginia Tech game. We didn't mention Terrion Stewart hurt, I think, but if I didn't mention that, I forgot. For Notre Dame, you lose Charles Jagasaw to an ATV accident. That's their main injury. Offense, I'm expecting to be almost exactly the same. You actually potentially pass the ball a little bit more. You're dealing with a pure pocket passer and CJ Carr. We'll get there, but I still think this team is going to be slow and run heavy. As far as Miami goes, I think they'll be more balanced than last year. They threw a ton with Cam Ward. It makes sense. He's the number 1 overall pick, generational QB. Both these teams, I think, are on the slower side of pace. And again, I think they both kind of regress towards more balanced play. Notre Dame super run heavy last year. Miami super pass heavy. As far as QB goes, Notre Dame is breaking in a brand new starter, CJ Carr. He's replacing Riley Leonard. He beat out Steve Angeli, the Syracuse player, now in the spring. However, he kind of took this down to the wire with Minchie in camp. He's not mobile. He did have a good spring game, but he sort of struggled in fall camp with turnovers especially. So it's not all glowing reports. But regardless, I think the offense is largely going to fall back on their offensive line. Hide him for the most part in week 1. Hide probably isn't the right word, but limit him so you can build some momentum, and we'll see. But he's not the same as Riley Leonard. He does have a good group of skill position players that I think is upgraded from last year. Jeremiah Love is back. He has at least an argument that he's the best running back in the country. And he dealt with an ankle injury last year. He averaged 6.9 yards per carry, caught 28 passes. Jadarian Price and Aeneas Williams are elite backups. The receiver room is almost without a doubt improved, getting rid of Bo Collins and Chris Mitchell and Jaden Thomas. Greathouse is back. He had the breakout in the playoff. They get Malachi Fields from Virginia. This guy that caught 55 balls last year. Will Pauling comes in from Wisconsin. I didn't think he was going to start, but he was immediately named a captain. Now I think he's probably going to play in the slot. They also have Faison back, who battled an ankle injury. Not to mention incoming 4-stars. Scrap Richardson, Cam Williams, Logan Salve. Tight end probably takes a step back with Evans gone, but Raridon has gotten some hype. We'll see if that can manifest. I think there's a lot to work with here for CJ Carr. As far as the offensive line, somehow they continually replace guys. And they lost 3 players again on their offensive line. 4 if you include Jagasaw. They still have 3 players that started games last year. That leaves just 2 spots to fill. Elite talent everywhere. They're not portaling in guys. But at this point with Notre Dame and what they went through last year, and it did drop them to 66th in pass blocking, 18th in run blocking. But their ability to just cycle guys in and out, regardless of injury, preparation time, honestly, it's incredible. So I think their O-line can't really be considered a concern until they prove it. As far as them against Miami's defense, this is still a good Miami defense. They were awesome last year. They finished 12th overall in efficiency, and they were top 10 in run defense and pass rush. It's their coverage that let them down. They were right around average there, but obviously when you play some of the big heavies and you're 67th in coverage, like they're going to exploit that routinely, and they did. 6 starters are gone, but up front, I really have no questions with their front 7. Mesidor's back, Bain's back, interior is deep. Linebacker, I think, is completely fine. You plug a hole with Torre coming in from Rutgers. What about the secondary? They have just OJ Frederick back, and I think that makes sense. This unit was not good. They basically portal over a ton of weaknesses back here. Ethan O'Connor from Washington State, Xavier Lucas from Wisconsin, Charles Brantley from Michigan State, Zechariah Poyser from Jacksonville State, Jacoby Thomas from Tennessee. I think there's more talent without a doubt, not even including some of their younger 4 and 5 stars. But this is without a doubt still a bet on Corey Heatherman improving this unit. I will say, week 1, brand new quarterback you're facing in CJ Carr. They're both working on stuff. Like Miami's going to be working on their secondary. Carr's going to be working on everything. I tend to favor the defense in this situation. On the other side, Cam Ward's gone. It's a downgrade by default, but you do bring in Carson Beck, who's very experienced. I will say he was kind of let down last year. His receivers dropped, I think, the most passes in the country. If not, it was a top 5 rate, which definitely didn't help him. He also had Mike Bobo, who has drawn a lot of criticism at OC. I've given him some. But at the end of the day, Beck's still at a 65% completion, 23 big-time throws, 20 turnover-worthy plays, which is actually up from the year prior. If he can cut some of those down again playing with Dawson, I think you have to give the edge to Beck and Miami right now at quarterback just by default. Skill position players will be a little bit worse. Running back, I think, will tread water. Mark Fletcher, 4-star. Jordan Lyle, 4-star. They're replacing Damian Martinez. Both were awesome in relief. Receiver and tight ends, where I think you take a step back. You're just replacing so much, including Arroyo, Restrepo. They add CJ Daniels from LSU. He's okay. Marion from BYU. He's more of a kick returner, in my opinion. Tony Johnson, I'm not sure he gets on the field, really. He shouldn't. The ceiling is going to come from their young 4-stars, 5-stars that haven't played yet. JoJo Trader, Ray Joseph, Nycar, Chance Robinson. These guys need to play because what you brought in the transfer portal is not like they didn't get Deuce Robinson. They didn't get Zachariah Branch. They got Tony Johnson, who is like a wide receiver 3 from Cincinnati. They got Keelan Marion, who's a kick returner. They need these young players to step up. Lofton has gotten the most hype at tight end. I think he does make sense. Arroyo was awesome, though, so it's a lot to replace. Fortunately, I think this O-line is very good. And if you took out the development piece for Notre Dame, on paper, Miami has a better, deeper offensive line. It's just I trust Notre Dame to develop more at this point. Miami was 26th in pass blocking, 72nd in run blocking. They only lose 2 starters. 4 back with starting experience, led by Francis Mauigoa, who's awesome. Not to mention Annis Cooper, Matthew McCoy, Markel Bell, all experience. They get Brockermeyer to plug that center position from TCU and Alabama. Full of elite recruits. You have 5 stars that haven't even played. Like, this unit is deeper than Notre Dame's right now. We saw Notre Dame lose some transfers. Jagasaw's hurt. Like, on paper, it favors Miami. I just can't give them that edge really right now. And then on defense, Notre Dame, they're losing a lot, but man, they had so many guys get hurt last year. Like, their experience is shocking. They were 10th in total defense. For starters law, Xavier Watts, Jordan Clark, Jack Kaiser, Howard Cross, Riley Mills. How many of those guys got hurt at some point last year? 3? Plus a ton of other guys. So, I mean, especially the edge group. This group was blasted by injury. You're now getting Burnham's back, Patello's back, even more than that. Defensive tackle, yeah, Mills and Cross both got hurt. So Heinisch and Rubio are back. They both played a lot. Linebackers, incredible. Jalen Sneed, Drake Bone, Jaden Osbury, elite units. And then DB, Leonard Moore, Christian Gray, Aiden Schuler to start. The transfers you bring in, Devonta Smith and Jalen Stroman from Bama and Virginia Tech. This defense is awesome. Honestly, like, the defenses for both sides are quite good in this game. This is an interesting situation where I think I'm sort of talking myself into an under as we talk through this. It's sitting at 50.5. I still lean Miami plus it has to be a +3. If it's +3, I'm going to take it. But now that we talk about this, the defenses are going to be, I think, better than the offenses on both sides as we start the season. Just a lot of change at important positions for both teams. But that's where we'll leave it. I'll dive into the under a little bit more just for reference. We do show a little bit of value on the under. We kind of make this like right at 50.5, actually. And this will be a tough one. Might be a IKB play, and I know better play. It shows right on 50.5, but maybe we just play under with the change. Anyway, that'll do it for us today. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any feedback, please let me know. Otherwise, we got a Monday game tomorrow. We'll do the recap sometime soon after. But anyway, stuff for another day. Until then, good luck. We'll see you later.